H P Lovecraft is a curse on modern horror, a destructive addiction. Companies and writers condemn H P Lovecraft, even as they depend on him. There's a painful irony in the post-80s horror genre living in his world, but unable to fully realise his works. Like his eldritch creations, contemporary horror cannot fully show the true vision of H P Lovecraft. H P Lovecraft's continuing relevance, power and danger doesn't stem from particular creations or contemporary prejudices. H P Lovecraft is more relevant than ever because of what he represents. You're probably familiar with what H P Lovecraft represents via the co-opted, sanitized version of this. In Lovecraft's world, people uncover in books a way of seeing the world that undoes their whole reality. They see things other people can't see, and they see that understanding of the world as fake and trivial, that greater forces than anyone can comprehend are truly important. Their whole worldview is shaken and changed by what they learn in forbidden books. Folks, what I'm saying here is that H P Lovecraft is the original red pill for dissidents. Let's compare. Now, as in The Matrix, H P Lovecraft's work frequently portrays a nominal conventional society that hides a disturbing reality. In The Matrix, a giant inhuman unfeeling system controls us all, and a diverse group of revolutionaries seek to destroy it in order to be free. Morpheus, the black revolutionary who is particularly hated by the police and government, shows the white male protagonist that he is the one who can destroy the system from within. Ultimately, he sees the codes and rules and realises that he can dismantle them in order to free everyone. I'm sure you picked up on the analogy though, folks. It was a little bit subtle. However, in Lovecraft, humans live in a fragile, sanitized world. It's all built on a lie, and enterprising individuals frequently uncover truths that show the lie for what it is. Great power accumulates to people who break convention and seek it. But staying conventional keeps you, as in The Matrix, as basically cattle. As in The Matrix, great forces exist beyond our world and comprehension. But Lovecraft's great forces aren't concerned with us. We're occasionally tools to them, but ultimately we're going to be discarded. We're not even in the same reality as them. We're just figments of great Azathoth's dreaming. A strong vein of elite theory runs through Lovecraft. I'm not really doing it justice, but I'll simply summarise that worldview as anti-egalitarian, accepting of hierarchy, and thoroughly in the mould of Thomas Sowell's tragic vision. This is a worldview that sees most significance coming from a very concentrated number of fulcrums of power. You might say it's a sort of great interconnected great man theory. Effectively, all societal decisions and change come from the elite, not from the demos. If you seek the truth, uncover it, you're going to be seen as dangerous and attacked. In Lovecraft's work, many people's minds break upon learning this truth. The parallels to our current times are obvious but contentious, so instead just consider the example of the Katyn massacre, a series of mass executions of 22,000 Polish military and intelligentsia during April and May 1940. They were killed by Soviet Union forces on Polish soil after it was retaken. Nazi forces uncovered the mass graves and, seeking strategic advantage, they alerted the European Red Cross, who sent 12 forensic experts from across Europe. Now, this was a strategic move, not an altruistic one, but nevertheless it's important, because shamefully the UK government agreed to lie about the truth and blame German forces, not the Soviet forces that actually carried it out. Following this lie about mass slaughter by Soviets, the Allies later handed over much of Eastern Europe to them, and so they passed from one strain of bloodthirsty socialism to another. Many of these incidents of hidden knowledge and grand deceptions exist. Many are called conspiracy theories, the ranting of unhinged radicals, until the truth is forced out. Our world is Matrix-like, and our world is Lovecraftian. We're told there's no problem until the truth comes out. The disturbing truth can destroy your worldview.
There's no language to describe this thing, but I looked at it, and it seemed to invade my mind. It changed me.
How?
I think I experienced, for a few moments, total madness. It was like I was suddenly aware that everything in reality was a lie, and none of it made the slightest bit of sense. Science, religion, culture, It was like this disjointed white noise, and none of it connected up and none of it really existed. Like it was all just a series of snapshots of something that I'd previously stitched together to make this fabric of reality, and now it had all come apart. Like it was ripped into tiny shreds, and there was no way to put it back together again.
Now, in our world, there are forbidden texts too. As fast as information is banned and people unpersoned, people still uncover forbidden information and see the world is not what we are told. Now, the Wachowskis are very private, so there is a certain level of obscurity here, but they have indicated left-wing Marxist leanings and certainly seem to favour and reference Frankfurt School deconstructionist ideologies and postmodernism. So naturally, for the Wachowskis, the Matrix is a system that must be smashed and fully rebooted. But for Lovecraft, you can't smash the system because you are insignificant. But when you know the truth, some people can achieve immense power out of that system. Now, the differences are subtle but significant. This talk of politics may have upset you, may have wrestled your jimmies, but the essential argument works regardless of your ideological persuasion. Most people who experience ideological shifts do so through revealed wisdom, whether a chance conversation, a channel, or a book that rubbishes the mainstream narrative. It might be a text that exposes the patriarchy or white privilege to you. It may be a live stream or a book that undoes both of those theories, or the vision of the anointed. However, the dissident personal position of Lovecraft, his rejection of modernity and embrace of both elite theory and anti-egalitarianism, make his writings and worldview the natural choice of metaphor for dissident people and neo-reactionaries. But there is a great irony here, and many of you probably picked it up already. That is that red-pilling the Matrix framework, the Wachowskis' framing, has already been swiftly adopted and owned by dissident voices. Now, I don't believe I actually see anyone on the antinomian progressive left using red pill for their own positions anymore, and the reason for that should be quite obvious. The current egalitarian, equity-focused, intersectional social justice left is mainstream narrative. It's the hegemony. It is a position of the elite and corporations. Anyone who's unharassed in public life is well within the Overton window. A long frame view of history shows that elections are choices between fast progress or slow progress. There is no permitted movement away from that direction. Just a little tip for you, if you happily call it progress, you've already internalized the worldview. This is a reality that the red pill and Lovecraftian forbidden knowledge would seek to break you from. Back to the horror genre. Now, in current year, with materialist horror and increasingly realistic documentarian horror well explored, the desire to explore something new is very appealing, or rather I should say something fresh. Something that doesn't just have brief forays into the supernatural, as a Conjuring universe does, or whatever bizarre mechanics allow Jason Voorhees to resurrect endlessly. Maybe we could handle something relatively unexplored, the cosmological deep horror of H P Lovecraft. And in these highly polarised times, a lot of us from all across the ideological spectrum can see the appeal of a man who wanted the deceitful consensus, the grand narratives and fake news all torn down. I've put some Lovecraftian recommendations in the description below, and I am actively reading Lovecraft's work so I can understand it better. This is what I'm working on now. I would love recommendations from you for which books to read next. Juice y'all.
Durango 95 poured away real horror show.